The mahogany dresser tilted forward in slow motion, its massive weight bearing down on impossibly small shoulders. 7-year-old Lily Ashford's knees buckled against the cold marble floor, her thin arms trembling with effort she could never sustain. The sound that came from her throat was not a scream, but something worse. A suburb, raw and desperate and utterly broken. My back can't take it. Please, I can't. The words cut through the empty hallway like shattered glass, each syllable a small death, a piece of childhood crushed under mahogany and cruelty. Kate Morrison stood over the child, with her hand raised high, palm open, mouth twisted into something that might have been rage or might have been satisfaction. The moment froze there, suspended in the amber of terrible possibility. Her shadow fell across Lily like a stain. The girl's face was turned upward, eyes squeezed shut, bracing for impact she had learned to expect, had learned was inevitable, had learned was somehow her fault. Then the front door clicked open. The sound was small, a key turning in expensive hardware, shoes on marble, normal sounds in a normal home. But they shattered the frozen moment like a hammer through ice. Daniel Ashford stopped breathing. His briefcase hit the floor. The sound echoed through the million-dollar house like a gunshot, like the crack of a world breaking in half. His daughter's eyes found him then. Gray eyes, Jennifer's eyes, but filled with something Jennifer's eyes had never held. Terror, pure and primal and learned. Time split into crystalline fragments, each one cutting deep. Lily's dress torn at the shoulder, hanging off her thin frame like it was 3 sizes too large. It had fit her 6 months ago. The yellow-green bruise on her forearm, shaped exactly like adult fingers, like someone had grabbed and squeezed and held on too long. Her ribs visible through the thin fabric, every bone countable, collarbones sharp enough to cast shadows in the afternoon light streaming through the tall windows. The way she flinched when she saw him, as if his presence meant more punishment, not salvation, as if fathers were just another source of pain. What the hell is happening here? Daniel's voice came out flat and cold, the tone he used in boardrooms before destroying competitors, before ending careers with a single sentence, before making grown men realize they had underestimated him catastrophically. But his hands were shaking. His heart was a hammer against his ribs. His mind was screaming. Kate spun around and her face transformed. The rage melted like wax, replaced instantly by concerned surprise, by theatrical shock, by the mask she had worn so perfectly for 14 months that Daniel had never once seen beneath it. Daniel, oh, thank God you're home. Her voice was honey and relief, concern and affection all blended smooth. Her hand dropped to her chest in a gesture of startled innocence. I didn't hear you arrive. Lily has been so difficult today, so clumsy. She insisted on rearranging the furniture herself despite my warnings. She knocked over the dresser, and I was just about to help her. The words flowed like rehearsed lines, like a script she had perfected through repetition. Each syllable placed just right, each pause calculated for maximum believability. But she's been so stubborn lately. You know how children can be at this age. Testing boundaries, refusing to listen. Daniel moved forward, his body acting before his mind fully processed what it was seeing. He gripped the dresser and lifted it off his daughter with ease, muscles remembering the strength of college football, years despite decades behind desks. The weight that had been crushing Lily was nothing to him, less than nothing. Lily scrambled backward the instant the weight released, her small body curling against the wall, making herself smaller, so much smaller than any child should ever try to be. Her breathing came in short gasps. Her hands were pressed flat against the wallpaper, fingers splayed wide, as if she could push herself through the wall itself and disappear. Daniel knelt down slowly, carefully, making himself less threatening, less large, less adult. Are you hurt, sweetheart? Can you tell Daddy what happened? Lily stared at him with those huge gray eyes, filled with something that looked like calculation, like careful weighing of risks and consequences. She was 7 years old and she was doing math in her head, running scenarios, predicting outcomes. Children shouldn't know how to do that. Children should trust automatically, should cry freely, should run to fathers for comfort without hesitation. She glanced at Kate, then back to him, and Daniel saw the decision being made. saw the walls going up behind her gaze, brick by brick, sealing off truth, sealing off trust, sealing off any chance of honesty. "I'm sorry, Daddy." Her voice was so small, he had to strain to hear it, had to lean forward, had to hold his breath to catch every whispered word. "I wanted to help Aunt Kate. I thought I could move it by myself. I was being silly. I'm sorry I scared you. I'm fine now. Really, truly fine." The words were wrong, stilted and strange, like dialogue memorized from a script she didn't quite understand. Like an apology she had been taught to deliver regardless of circumstance, regardless of fault, regardless of truth. Children didn't talk like that, didn't apologize with such careful precision for things that weren't their mistakes, didn't watch adults with such wary assessment, calculating moods and reactions before speaking. Kate's hand landed on Lily's shoulder with what might have looked like affection to anyone who wasn't watching Lily's face. But Daniel was watching, and he saw the way his daughter's body tensed under that touch, saw the almost imperceptible wince, saw the way she went very still, the way prey goes still when predators are near. She's been having these ambitious phases. Kate's voice was warm, indulgent, the voice of a loving caretaker dealing with a precocious child. Wants to do everything herself. Be a big girl, help with Owen. Quite exhausting, really. But you know children, they need to learn their limitations. I've been working on teaching her to ask or help before attempting things beyond her capabilities. Daniel looked at his daughter, really looked at her for the first time in months, maybe for the first time since Jennifer died, his vision clearing from the fog of grief and work and absence that had clouded his perception for too long. Lily had been 6 when Jennifer died, chubby-cheeked and bright-eyed, full of questions and laughter and endless energy that filled their home with noise and glee and the beautiful chaos of childhood. The child before him now was 7, nearly 8, but looked smaller somehow, diminished, her spark extinguished like a candle drowned in wax. When had she gotten so thin? Her arms like bird bones, fragile and hollow-looking. When had the light left her eyes, replaced by this watchful weariness, this constant calculation of safety and danger? When had she learned to lie so smoothly, to protect adults from truth, to swallow her own pain in service of keeping peace? Where's Owen? The question came from instinct, from the sudden terrible certainty that if Lily looked like this, his infant son might be suffering too. The words came out harder than he intended, sharper, carrying the edge of suspicion he hadn't meant to reveal yet. Kate's smile brightened, but something flickered behind her eyes. Something fast and dark before the mask reformed. Napping in the nursery, he's been sleeping so well lately. Such a good baby. Barely fusses at all. You'll be so pleased with how well I've managed both children. It's been challenging, of course, with your travel schedule, but we've found our rhythm, haven't we, Lily? Lily nodded, the motion mechanical, programmed. Daniel stood slowly, his decision made in the space between heartbeats. "Lily, sweetheart, why don't you go wash your face and rest in your room for a bit? Daddy needs to talk to Aunt Kate about some boring grown-up things." Lily fled, her small feet silent on the carpet runner, her body disappearing into her bedroom with the speed of someone escaping danger. The door clicked shut with careful quiet, not a slam, but a whisper. Children who slammed doors got punished. Children who made noise paid for it. Daniel walked upstairs, Kate following, talking, explaining, justifying. Her voice a constant stream of reasonable explanations for unreasonable things. He stopped listening. His mind was focused on the nursery door, on what he might find behind it, on the horrible certainty growing in his gut like poison. Owen was in his crib, 18 months old, should have been chubby and pink and healthy, should have been pulling himself up, babbling, reaching for his father with grabby hands and delighted squeals. Daniel lifted his son carefully, his hands large enough to span the tiny torso, and felt his heart crack open. Owen was too light, far too light. The weight wrong, the feel wrong, everything wrong. Ribs visible through his sleep suit, cheeks hollow instead of baby plump. A diaper rash so severe the skin was raw and angry red. Signs of neglect written in every line of his small body. He's probably hungry. Daniel's voice came out steady somehow, betraying none of the rage building in his chest, none of the horror, none of the guilt. He carried Owen downstairs to the kitchen, found formula, mixed a bottle with hands that wanted to shake but wouldn't let themselves. Kate hovered, talking, explaining how Owen had always been a small baby, how some children were just naturally petite, how growth charts were just averages after all. Daniel sat in the kitchen chair and offered the bottle to his son. Owen's reaction told him everything he needed to know about the last 14 months. The baby attacked the formula with desperate hunger, sucking frantically, making small, whimpering sounds as he drank, his tiny hands clutching the bottle as if afraid it might be taken away. This wasn't normal baby hunger. This was starvation barely held at bay. This was a child who had learned that meals were uncertain things, rationed and withheld, never guaranteed. Children should not eat like they were starving, not in homes with fully stocked kitchens and pantries full of expensive food. Not when their father was a billionaire who could afford anything, everything, whatever they needed and more. Not under the care of trusted family. The next morning arrived gray and cold, November rain drumming against tall windows. Daniel woke at 5 as always, his body trained by decades of discipline. But instead of checking emails and joining conference calls, he made breakfast. Scrambled eggs, toast with butter, orange juice, simple food prepared by hands more accustomed to signing contracts than cracking eggs. He called for Lily. Her small form appeared in the kitchen doorway like a ghost, hesitant and watchful, her eyes taking in the scene, calculating risk, determining safety levels before entering the room. "Come sit, sweetheart. Let's eat together." She sat. Kate appeared moments later, perfectly dressed, perfectly composed, her mask firmly in place. What they did next told Daniel everything about the months he had missed, about the life his children had been living while he flew between continents and closed deals and built empires. Lily ate with frantic urgency, shoving food into her mouth so fast she barely chewed, her eyes darting between Daniel and Kate as if expecting someone to snatch her plate away mid-bite. She didn't savor. She didn't enjoy. She consumed with the single-minded focus of someone who never knew when the next meal might come. Owen, secured in his high chair, did the same with his cut-up eggs. But worse, he hoarded food in his cheeks like a squirrel preparing for winter, hiding pieces, creating reserves, operating on instinct that said resources must be protected at all costs. How often does Lily eat? Daniel kept his voice casual, conversational, betraying none of the screaming happening inside his skull. 3 meals a day, of course. Kate's answer came smooth and practiced, delivered with just the right amount of concern. Though she's been picky lately, refuses to finish her portions. I've been concerned about her appetite, actually. Children can be so difficult about food. Jennifer used to worry about her eating habits too. Remember? The invocation of Jennifer's name was designed to create alliance, to remind Daniel that Kate was family, was Jennifer's sister, was connected by blood and love to the woman he had lost. When Daniel gave Lily seconds, she stared at him with such shocked, disbelieving gratitude that something inside him shattered beyond repair. Her eyes filled with tears, she blinked back quickly. Her hand reached for the plate as if touching treasure, as if receiving gold. "Can I really have more?" The question was barely audible, full of wonder and fear in equal measure, as if abundance was a trick, as if generosity would be snatched away and punished. "Of course you can, baby. You can have as much as you want. Always." He reached across the table for the salt shaker near Owen's plate. The movement was casual, unthreatening, routine. But Owen flinched, his whole body jerked backward, his arms came up defensively, his face scrunched in anticipation of pain. The reaction lasted only a second before the baby relaxed, but Daniel saw it and knew. That afternoon, while Kate was in her room and the children napped, Daniel made a phone call. Daughter Sarah Chen had been Jennifer's best friend since medical school, had been maid of honor at their wedding, had held Jennifer's hand through chemotherapy and radiation, had been there the day she died. She was also the children's pediatrician. "I need you to come to the house. Private consultation. No appointment book entry. No records. Just come." She heard something in his voice. Arrived within 2 hours, medical bag in hand, face creased with concern. Her examination took place in the master bedroom with the door locked. She was thorough and increasingly grim, her professional detachment unable to hide the anger building behind her eyes. When she finished, she sat across from Daniel in his study and delivered her findings with careful precision. Lily is significantly underweight, malnutrition evident. I can see ribs, hip bones, shoulder blades that shouldn't be this prominent in a healthy child. Multiple bruises in various stages of healing. Yellow, green, purple, brown. Different ages, patterns consistent with grabbing and restraining. Defensive injuries on her forearms where she's been blocking blows. She flinched when I touched her back. Something happened there. Something bad. Her voice remained steady, but her hands were clenched. Owen is also underweight. Severe diaper rash that's been untreated for days at minimum. Signs of neglect everywhere. Inadequate feeding obvious from his growth charts. He's fallen off his curve entirely. Both children are exhibiting behavioral indicators of abuse. Fear responses, hypervigilance. Lily particularly shows signs of traumatic conditioning. She's been taught to minimize, to accept blame, to protect her abuser. Classic pattern, Daniel felt each word like a physical blow, each one a confirmation of what he had been trying not to see, not to believe, not to accept. I need you to document everything. Photographs, measurements, written report, official medical record. I need evidence. I need proof. Chen nodded slowly, her jaw tight. I'm a mandatory reporter, Daniel. I have to file with child services. The injuries and neglect I've documented require intervention by law. File it. His answer came immediately, without hesitation, without concern for scandal or privacy or reputation. Nothing mattered except his children's safety. That afternoon, while Kate supervised the children's quiet time, Daniel remembered something Jennifer had taught Lily. A secret hiding place for treasures. A loose floorboard beneath the bed in her room. Jennifer had been a child who kept secrets, who needed private places, who understood the value of things hidden away from adult eyes. Daniel knelt on the floor of his daughter's room and pried up the board with careful fingers. Inside the small space was a notebook, cheap spiral-bound, decorated with unicorns and rainbows, given to Lily by Jennifer weeks before the cancer finally won. A diary. He took it to his study, locked the door, sat in the leather chair that had cost $5,000 and meant nothing. Nothing at all compared to what he was about to read. The first entry was dated April, 2 months after Kate moved in, 2 months after Daniel had buried Jennifer and retreated into work and grief and cowardice. He read in chronological order, his daughter's careful printing telling a story that made his stomach turn, made his hands shake, made tears fall for the first time since Jennifer's funeral, October 3rd. Aunt Kate says I ate too much breakfast, so no lunch today. My tummy hurts, but I can't say, or she gets mad. I miss Mama. Mama would give me snacks. October 10th, I dropped a plate and it broke. Aunt Kate hit my hands with the spoon 6 times. My fingers are purple. I told Daddy on video call I hurt them playing. I don't want him to worry. He looks so tired and sad. October 17th, Owen was crying because he was hungry. Aunt Kate said let him cry, babies need to learn. I snuck him my bread when she wasn't looking. I'm still hungry, but Owen is littler. The entries continued. Months of suffering compressed into childish handwriting and misspelled words. A 7-year-old shouldering burdens no adult should bear. Making sacrifices no child should understand. Protecting a baby brother while starving herself. October 24th. Aunt Kate says if I tell Daddy anything bad, she will send Owen away to an orphanage, and I'll never see him again. She says Daddy will believe her, not me, because I'm just a kid and she's a grown-up. I believe her. I'm so scared. I miss Mama so much. Mama, please help me from heaven. Daniel's vision blurred. The words swam on the page. He was crying now, truly crying, sows that came from somewhere deep and wounded, from the place where fathers keep their failures and their guilt. More entries followed, each one worse than the last. November 2nd. Tommy was crying hungry. I gave him my bread. Aunt Kate locked me in the dark room. I sang Mommy's song so I wouldn't be scared. November 7th. I tried to call the number at school, but Aunt Kate found the paper. She broke my special bracelet, the one Mommy gave me. She said Mommy's not watching anymore. But I think Mommy is. I hope she is. The final entry was dated yesterday. I'm trying so hard to be good, to be quiet, to not make Aunt Kate angry. If I'm perfect, maybe Daddy will want to stay home. Maybe he'll love me enough to not leave anymore. I just have to try harder. Be smaller. Be quieter. Be better. The notebook fell from Daniel's hands. He sat in his expensive chair in his expensive study, in his expensive house, and understood that he had failed. Catastrophically. Completely. His daughter had been screaming for help in the only way she could, had been protecting her brother, had been surviving day by day while Daniel flew to Beijing and Tokyo and London and anywhere that wasn't here, that wasn't home, that wasn't where his children were being destroyed. I failed you, he said it out loud to the empty room, to Jennifer's memory, to God if God was listening. I failed them. I failed you. I'm so sorry. But sorry wasn't enough. Sorry was just a word. Sorry was what you said when you bumped into someone at the grocery store. Not what you said when you had abandoned your children to a monster wearing your dead wife's face. He picked up his phone with shaking hands, made a call. His voice when he spoke was steady somehow, cold and controlled. The voice of a man who had made a decision and would not be moved from it. I need everything you have on Kate Morrison. Financial records, background check, criminal history, if any, employment records. Everything. I need it yesterday. Then he made another call, this one to his attorney. James, I need to see you today. Now, if possible, it's about the children. I need legal advice, custody advice, evidence collection, everything. The questions came. Daniel answered them all. When he hung up, he sat for a long moment in the dimness of his study and made promises. I will fix this. I will make it right. I will burn the world down if necessary to keep them safe. Whoever hurt you will pay for every bruise, every hungry night, every moment of terror. Then he went upstairs, found Lily in her room, curled on her bed with a book she wasn't reading, just staring at pages while her mind went somewhere else. He knocked softly before entering. She startled anyway, always startled now, always afraid. Hey, baby, can Daddy sit with you? She nodded. He sat on the edge of her bed, careful to keep distance, to not crowd her, to let her feel safe. I found something today, in your special hiding place. Fear flashed across her face, her whole body tensed. Am I in trouble? No, sweetheart. No, you could never be in trouble for this. Never. He pulled the diary from his pocket, held it gently. I read it. I know what's been happening. And I need you to know that none of this is your fault. None of it. Do you understand me? Aunt Kate was wrong. She hurt you, and that's not okay. It's never okay. Lily's lip trembled. Tears welled in her eyes. But I wasn't good enough. I tried, but I wasn't good enough. And you left, and Kate said it was because I was too much work, and if I was better, you'd stay. The words came out in a rush, all the poison she'd been storing finally spilling free. Daniel pulled her into his arms, held her while she cried, let her soak his shirt with tears and snot and grief. I left because I was sad about Mama, and I made a terrible mistake. I left when I should have stayed. I trusted someone I shouldn't have trusted. I failed you and Owen, and I'm so sorry. But that's my fault, my mistake. Not yours, never yours. They sat like that until the tears stopped, until Lily's breathing evened out, until some of the tension left her small body. When she finally pulled back, Daniel looked her in the eyes. I'm going to fix this. Aunt Kate is going to go away. She's never going to hurt you again. Do you believe me? Lily searched his face for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Okay, Daddy, I believe you. That evening, Daniel went through the house with new eyes, seeing everything he had missed. The locked drawer in Kate's room that shouldn't be locked in, the folder tucked behind books on her shelf, the laptop she kept password protected. He broke into the drawer with tools from the garage. Inside was correspondence with an attorney, emails printed out, a custody petition nearly ready to file, bank statements showing withdrawals from the children's accounts, transfers to Kate's personal accounts, theft, systematic, calculated theft. He found the laptop, knew her password because Kate thought she was clever, but wasn't clever enough. Inside was email after email detailing her plan, her strategy, her long game. Just 6 more months until I can file for custody, prove Daniel is an absent father, get the kids, get access to their trust fund, $5 million, Worth putting up with the brats a while longer. Another email to a friend. Jennifer always was the golden child. Got everything. The perfect husband, the money, the fairy tale life. Well, she's dead now, and I'm going to take what should have been mine all along. There was more. So much more. A trail of greed and resentment and carefully plotted revenge against a dead woman, carried out against innocent children who had the misfortune of being born to someone Kate envied. Daniel copied everything, backed it up 3 times, sent copies to his attorney, to his private investigator, to his personal email. Evidence that would stand up in any court. Then he remembered the security system, cameras installed throughout the house after Jennifer died, when Daniel had been paranoid about break-ins, about losing anything else, about having his home invaded the way cancer had invaded his wife's body. He'd forgotten about them, had never checked the footage, had assumed they were just recording over themselves endlessly. He pulled up the security system on his computer, selected the camera for the second-floor hallway, chose a date at random from 3 months ago, pressed play. What he saw made him close the laptop and walk away before he did something he'd regret. But he forced himself to come back, to watch, to document, to see what his children had endured while he was on planes and in meetings and anywhere but here. The footage showed Kate slapping Lily across the face for spilling water, showed her dragging Lily to the basement and locking her in, the child's screams audible through the door, showed meals where Kate ate full plates while giving Lily scraps, showed Owen crying in his crib for hours while Kate sat downstairs watching television, showed Lily scrubbing floors on her knees, the tile leaving marks, blood seeping through her dress, showed Kate on the phone laughing, saying things that made Daniel's blood turn to ice. Just a few more months until I can file for custody. Once I get access to that trust fund, these brats will have earned their keep. Jennifer owed me this. She got everything and I got nothing. Well, now it's my turn. He watched for 3 hours, compiled footage, selected the worst moments, built a case that no defense attorney could argue against. When he was done, he sat in the darkness of his study and made a phone call. I need to see you tomorrow. First thing, bring everything. We're moving forward. The next 2 weeks passed in careful choreography. Daniel pretended normalcy, went to work but came home early, spent time with the children. Let Kate think everything was fine while he built his case behind closed doors. Investigators dug into Kate's past, found sealed juvenile records, petitioned the court to unseal them, found out that Kate had been removed from an abusive home at 14, had been placed in foster care, had been accused of abusing younger children in her foster home, had been labeled by psychologists as high risk for perpetuating cycles of abuse. Jennifer had never known. The records had been sealed before the sisters reconnected as adults. Kate had presented herself as healed, as changed, as someone who had overcome her past. Jennifer had believed her because Jennifer believed in redemption, believed people could change, believed in giving second chances. More investigators found witnesses, the neighbor who had called CPS 4 months ago, the CPS caseworker who had closed the case after a single visit because the house was clean and Kate was